Okay, my friends, you have worked your buns off creating something new and fresh for your clients, your business, your students, and you're so proud of the work that you've done. And then you see that your competitor has copied you and done something similar or even exactly the same as you. I mean, it's very clear that they copied you, and you start to feel all the feelings. Well, maybe minus the joy and happiness, but you might feel the feelings of anger and, you know, betrayal. I don't know, all the things depending on it. So the question is then, what do you do next? And so in this week's episode, I want to share with you what you do next when you have a copycat on your hands. And I'm going to tell you, it may not be what you think. So if you're joining me, say, hey, Erin, what's up? Let me know that you're here. I always want to know who is with me when I come on live every single week for the Erin Bird Live Show. And if you've stumbled upon this somehow, I'm Erin Bird, and I support dance studio owners and educators to really grow their businesses and create their empire, their legacy. I am interested in sharing with people who want to do more, right? And so all without the overwhelm, the burnout, or sacrificing your personal life, because honestly, you don't have to, okay? So if you're joining me, say hello. I want to know that you're here. Also, if you come back in on the replay, let me know. We'll continue the conversation, all right? So here's the thing. I've had some clients come to me recently and say, oh my gosh, OMG, Erin. Like, all of a sudden, this competitor, since we started rolling out this plan, I roll it out, I do this strategic, our strategic plan, and then they copycat me. Like, I mean, I get it. They say imitation is the, what is that? The flattery, or what's the saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. But they, but it still does not feel good. What do I do? What do I do? So let me know in the comments. Have you ever had someone, your competitor, copy you? Now, this could be a lot of different ways. Maybe you update your website and the competitor comes in and literally copies and pastes and changes it to their name, but everything else is exactly the same, and they update their website. Or maybe, just maybe, y'all, we're getting into competition season. Have you ever had where someone copies your choreography, or like maybe you did a number last season and then all of a sudden this season, all of a sudden you see your work on stage at a competition? Has that ever happened to you? Or maybe, just maybe, my friends, you decide to change up your tuition structure and you want to be a unicorn, so you're going to do things maybe a little differently. And then all of a sudden, your competitors all change their tuition structure to look similar to yours. Let me know if it's happened. Now, I have to tell you that this has happened to me several times, actually, in fact, in different capacities. I have had other people in our industry come in and try to copy some of the programs that we offer, try to copy some of our structures. I've had people locally try to copy our name so close that I actually did have to take legal action. Like, y'all, I am not immune from this. And so I am coming and I'm sharing with y'all today from a place of, I get it. I have been there and I know it doesn't feel good. But how do we move forward from there? So if you're joining me, say hello, Erin. Let me know that you're here. And if you come back on the replay, I want to know that as well. If you'd like a copy of today's show notes, just drop the word show notes below. let us know, and then we will send those out to you as soon as they are ready. All right, so what do you do when a competitor copies you? What do you do? Now, I'd be lying to say that you don't get angry and annoyed, or maybe it's just me. I don't know. But you start with that, right? And so the first thing that we have to do is pause and decide. Now, before we can decide, we need to assess, right? And we need to decide and assess, is this a feeling or a fact? Did they in fact copy me? Or is this a feeling that I don't know for sure, like there's no proof because things are similar, but maybe not exactly the same. So we have to take a pause and we have to decide, how are we going to move forward? And is this in fact a word for word copy or a choreography copycat? Like, we have to decide what is a fact and what is a feeling. Now, this can be hard, my friends, because there have also been times where we don't want to like be paranoid and feel like everyone's copying us. But when you keep seeing content that you put up, or you update your website and then all of a sudden your competitor's website is updated and it looks very similar, but maybe not exactly the same. So you might have some feelings that they are copying you, but it's not word for word. And so can't really prove that they're copying you, but you're starting to get some feelings that they're watching you and what you do. And I have to tell you, don't be paranoid, right? Like, but if you are having those feelings and things are coming up multiple times over and over and over again, they probably are watching you, because you, my friend, are a unicorn in a field of donkeys. And they know that they are just a donkey, or they are, they're afraid that you're going to take all their clients, or they're like, oh, that's a great idea. We should try that too. And it's annoying, but you might not have factual evidence that they are, copying you. So we have to pause and decide, like, is this a fact or a feeling? Do we have proof? And then we have to decide, what are we going to do next about it? Now, there's a lot of people tell you, like, just ignore it, because you will shine. And don't get me wrong, there are times to ignore it, but there are times to not ignore it. Okay. So after you pause and you assess the situation, and you decide, is this a fact or a feeling? Then we have to go to, and you make some decisions about how to proceed. But before you can truly decide on the next step, you really need to think about, what will the outcome do for you? Okay. What will it do for you? Now, like I said, I have had lots of things, and this happened in many different ways over the years. But to go back to, we had a local business here who, through some very unfortunate and very heartbreaking reasons, they had to rename their business. And when they renamed their business, they renamed it so close that there was market confusion between us and them. And there was, because of the situation, there was some very negative connotations with that particular business that I could not ignore. I could not ignore. It was not an ignore situation. And so we did have to take legal action to fix this problem. Okay. Now, believe me, I had to weigh it. What was the outcome going to do for us? Well, the outcome, if went in our favor, would require them to, again, make some changes to their business, but it would protect our brand and our name because we did not want our brand and our name to be associated with this other business. So you have to decide, what will the outcome do for you? Now, there's other times where I have either some people say, oh, take the high ground. I'm doing that in air quotes, right? Because sometimes you're like, I want to call these people out. You guys, do you ever feel that way? Sometimes you're like, I want to call them out publicly. Now, sometimes calling them out publicly, what does that do for you? How does, is that really the best thing? Now, there's also ways to tactfully call people out in our community, and just say, hey, looks like we have a copycat on our hands. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you guys see how well we're doing and that you would love to do it too. Can I tell you, I literally had one of my clients tell her competitor, you probably should work with Erin because she's going to help your business. Because it seems like you need some help. I mean, I love it. Okay, sorry, I digress. But what will the outcome do for you? In the bigger picture, while it might feel good for you to call them out publicly, will it look good for you in the long run? Okay. Then we have to think about, how are we going to do this and be tactful about it? So if you know you've updated your website and somebody has literally copied and pasted and take your name and inserted their studio name into it, and you see verbatim, right? And okay, it is okay to privately reach out to that person and say, hey, I noticed our websites have some similarities. Not actually similarities, but it's word for word. And so I would really like you to actually take that down, and you need to create your own copy and content. Okay? It is okay to say that privately. Because if it is blatant plagiarism, you published your website on February 1st, and then February 7th, they update their website, copy and paste, right? You have digital proof that it was yours and you uploaded first before they did. Okay. So if you do need to do something about it, you have that digital footprint. But it is okay to tell them privately, message them, email, try to be kind and say, hey, I understand. Like sometimes I get writer's block too. But this is my work, not yours. That is okay. It's okay to do that. Now, how they respond is then how you respond, right? So if they're like, no, you're crazy, this is mine. Okay, well, then you have to decide, again, what will the outcome do for you? So if you decide to proceed and do, go a legal route and all those sort of things, is it worth it for you? Is it worth it for you? And what does the outcome do? Okay. Sometimes there are times to just let it, be a duck, let it roll off your back, right? Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes we have to do that. But there are other times where we need to stand our ground and we need to just say, like, this is not okay because this is blatant disregard. Okay. And if you have confirmation, like if you're having a feeling that they are definitely watching you, and then you get confirmation somehow that they are, in fact, like, clap back, y'all. Like, I'm so tired of it. So clap back tactfully. Get your point across. But what will the outcome do for you? Okay. Now, before I go to the third thing, I want to remind you all that We are having our Sizzling Summer Camps Masterclass this Friday, February 9th, 9 a.m. Pacific, which would be noon Eastern. We are going to go through, or I'm going to dive into the top themes for this summer. I'm going to talk about what you need to do right now to market so you fill those camps ASAP before summer ever comes. I am also going to talk about things that you need to think about legally before you roll out your summer camps, because it's something that many don't talk about in our industry, and it's a huge, huge problem, and it's a huge risk. And so I'm going to dive into that as well. It is going to be an action-packed hour. We are going to be fast firing at you, so you have all the information that you need to make this year the best summer season yet for you. Okay. So y'all, if you are not registered yet, drop the word summer and we will get back to you and get you the link so you can register for free. But my friends, y'all need to join us. If summer camps are always like, ooh, we need to be actively working on them right now for them to be successful. So come join us this Friday, February 9th, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, for the Sizzling Hot Summer Camps. Now I'm going to tell you, I've had quite a few people ask me, Erin, oh my gosh, I'm going to be gone at comp this weekend, so I won't be able to watch live. Is there a replay? There will be a limited time replay only for those who register. So if it's something that you want, you need a little insight into this summer, and then you want to make sure that you register for that. All right. So Sizzling Hot Summer Camps. It is happening this Friday, and we hope to see you there. Okay. So what is the last thing? The last thing that you should do when your competitor copied you is lean into your core values. Now, I do kind of preach on this over and over and over again, it may feel like, but this is the reality. Once you know who you are, once you know your top 5 core values, and you lean into those, right? And who you are, not only as a person, but as a business. Who are you being as a business? When you can lean into those 5 core values, that allows you to stand proudly into who you are. And, sometimes we share core values, right? So like you might say, Erin, safety is our number 1 value. And that can be somebody else's value too. That could be a competitor's value as well. But what I'm going to tell you is you cannot and will not have all 5 be exactly the same. You can imitate, you can try to replicate, but you can never be me. And when you are so firm in your values of who you are, who you be, what you stand for, your voice, the audience, your community will be like, there's something funky with this competitor because they say one thing, but then I go inside the studio and it's a different thing. Or their social media set talks about safety, but then I go to a free trial and they've got 13-year-olds running their tiny talk class. How's that safe? Or whatever. Okay. It's not in alignment, which then will be red flags like to those parents. Okay. Because they are trying to imitate. They're not being who they really are. And that's a miss. And we're in it for the marathon, not the sprint. What I'm going to tell you is you can't keep up a lie forever. You can't keep up a lie forever. Okay. So if you're showing up and not being who you are, because you see Sally down the road and she's killing it, so you want to emulate and do everything that Sally does, You can't keep that up. You're not Sally. You are uniquely you. Your studio is uniquely your studio based upon your core values, who you are, what you want to be, and what you want to do and serve. Okay. So stand proud about and get clear on who you are. And when you lean into those core values, the answers will come to you. You will know what you need to do. And sometimes it might be just zipping your lip and continuing on. Sometimes it might be reaching out and saying, no, thank you. And sometimes it might be more aggressive based upon the infraction, let's say, based upon the situation. But my friends, copying happens in every industry. It really, I hate to say it, it happens everywhere. There's little that might be original, some people might say anymore, but take a pause when this happens. Take a pause, assess the situation, and decide how you're going to proceed. But the huge thing is taking the pause, because you don't want to do anything in the moment, right? We all need time to assess, digest, right? And then how do we move forward? Okay. And then really think about, okay, if I go route A, what is the outcome going to do for me? If I go route B, what will the outcome be? And then obviously if there's a C. And then those decisions always should be made based upon your core values. And we lean into those values and we stand, we march to our own beat. And these are our values, and we share those values over and 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 over until our community knows that these are our values. This is us. This is who we are. Now, I don't really care what Sally's doing down the road, unless it's blatant disregard, right? We do have to stay in our own lane and, not necessarily worry about what everyone else is doing. But also don't sit in it. Like, pause for a moment, be decisive, and also let it go when it needs to be let go. Let it go. Because if you just keep it in you, it doesn't allow you to focus on the good and what needs to happen. Okay? So I know this is kind of a funky topic, but I've actually had this happening, not only in our world, but my clients. We've had a couple very recently where we are seeing some issues happening. And so I thought, you know what? We should talk about this. It's not something we talk about a lot necessarily in our camp. I don't like to focus on, comparisonitis or anything like that. I'm not a big fan of that. But the reality is that this stuff does happen. And so how do we address it? And I hope that you walk away with saying, okay, I know now I need that little reminder of pause and decide, right? That little moment, pause and decide. Because there are things that might feel, and it's a feeling, not a fact, might feel like they're copying you, but there are going to be certain strategies in our industry where it makes sense for everyone to do. Now, maybe they're all decided to do it at the same time because they're like, oh, I've been thinking about doing that, and now she's doing that, and so I should probably get on that and try it, right? Maybe like a trial week or something like that. It's, it could happen, right? But when there's egregious copying happening, when there's copying paste on websites, y'all, and I'm telling you this because it just happened to one of my clients, no joke, we updated her website and a competitor copied and pasted it and just pulled out her name and inserted their name. Like, mind blowing. Right? So these sort of things are happening every day, and it's not the funnest topic. I would rather us talk about leaning into the joy and the art and the business and, all of that good stuff. But it is a little sliver of what happens. And so I felt it necessary to bring it up and just say, like, you get to decide how you proceed. But as I say, proceed with caution. No, just take the time to really assess the situation and say, okay, what does the outcome do for me? And so then I'll know how to proceed, right? Because sometimes it's just not worth it. It really isn't. It's not worth all of the energy, right? But then sometimes it's a big deal and it has to be addressed. But the best thing is pausing and deciding. And then sometimes seeking legal counsel to see. So, my friends, I'm going to leave you there. This is what you do when a competitor copies you. And of course, we're here to support you if you need support. I hope to see everybody on Friday at the Sizzling Hot Summer Camps Masterclass, where we're going to dive into all the summer goodness to make sure that your summer is the best summer yet. And I'm going to leave you there. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye, guys.